Hi, Hugo. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
And you're joining in from, where are you located right now?
I am calling in from London.
Okay,
today.
Brilliant. Great that you could join us. Tell us a bit about yourself, and then we have a topic to discuss on crowdfunding as well. But first, let's start with you.
Yeah, my name is Hugo de Stacpoole. I've been at Seedrs now for nearly 6 years, predominantly working in the UK market, but now fully focused on our European expansion as a platform as we look to grow into new markets. And yeah, the purpose of today, I guess, from my side is particularly in this market, and thanks for Jonathan's remarks there around things to consider when you're raising capital, is that as a platform, Seedrs Republic, we offer an alternative way to fundraise, which could be really exciting for certain companies in this market. And the purpose of today is to sort of take you through a bit of an overview around the platform, what we look at, and some of the things we're seeing in 2022 and 2023.
Awesome. So let's hear from you. The topic is equity crowdfunding done right. It's over to you. And for the audience over here and for the panelists who are coming in, we are a bit stressed on time. We'll try to recoup that as we go along the day.
Yeah, I'll try and move very quickly.
Over to you.
So a bit of an overview around who we are as a business. So Seedrs and now Republic recently acquired us, who are a unicorn out in the States. We are now the largest private equity marketplace globally. And what does that mean? That means we are raising growth capital for all stages of startups, up to 8 million euros in Europe, from predominantly retail investors. Now we have combined as an entity 2.5 million retail investors, both in the US and in the UK and Europe. We've done close to 2,000 fundraising rounds and raised well over 2 billion euros for startups since inception in 2010. We've been operating in London, and I guess what we do in terms of sort of crowdfunding is a very mature market. The purpose of today is, we are breaking very heavily into the Nordic market. We have Marcus on the call, who heads up our office in Copenhagen, Sarah in Sweden, and part of our remit as a platform now is to break even further into that Nordic market and become an alternative financing option for businesses at all stages. So what do we do as a business as a whole? We do a number of different things. We raise primary fundraising, so raise from retail investors. Typically in Europe, that's sort of pre-Series A, Series A businesses raising up to 8 million euros through the platform. We also help later stage companies raise from our institutional partners. So we raise large tickets from VC, private equity firms, and family offices across Europe for businesses typically raising north of kind of 5 million euros. We also raise funds for funds themselves. So in the UK, we've raised millions of pounds for funds like Passion Capital, Jam Jar, from our retail base, and we also have our own fund. But today, and I guess looking at the startups that are here today on the call, I want to focus on what our bread and butter is, which is raising from retail investors within our base. So why should businesses look at platforms like Seedrs, and why are businesses using us to raise capital? There are a number of reasons. One is that we can raise money very quickly, in the sense that typically when you're raising money from an institution, that can take months. We can get a campaign up and down on the platform in a number of weeks, and as I said, raise in a very quick manner, and raise large sums of capital for a business. The average amount of investors that a campaign and a business raises from us is around 500. Sometimes it can be thousands. We make that process of raising money from thousands of individuals very, very easy and very, very streamlined. We have a full service nominee structure, meaning that if you raise money from thousands of individuals, you only have one name in your cap table, which is Seedrs nominee. We represent the crowd, we act on behalf of the crowd, and we vote on behalf of the crowd as your sole legal shareholder. So it's very streamlined in that sense. But the real value add and why companies are using us on top of the capital is that they want to engage their community. They want to engage their user base. Jonathan mentioned there around sort of B2C businesses. How are you going out to acquire customers? Well, this is a great opportunity if you are a consumer-focused company to engage your users, bring them on board as shareholders as part of your fundraising round. And using Seedrs and our 1 million plus retail investors in Europe, to actually acquire customers in key markets whilst also marketing your brand. So when we see businesses using us as a platform, typically they are sort of consumer focused, but they're using us to market their brands, acquire customers, engage their user base whilst fundraising at the same time. So what makes a business suitable for the crowd? I've hinted at it there slightly. We are typically consumer focused. We are looking at businesses that are typically B2C, that operate in exciting markets, consumer focused markets, have community at their core. They're all about engaging their following. They have a loyal base of users, customers, advocates that they want to engage. Fundamentally, we are looking at sectors that are new and exciting to a retail audience. That could be rapidly growing markets, Web3, crypto, for example, fintech, are some very strong sectors that we work in, and even more so now, the more sort of sustainability, B Corp, green, impact-led businesses are resonating very well with our investors. Our investors are 1 million sort of retail base across Europe are looking for certain things when they're investing on our platform. They are investing with their head, the fundamentals, as mentioned previously, businesses that have a fair valuation, they have strong product market fit, they are revenue generating, they have traction. Can this business grow and exit? That's what's fueling investment from the head perspective from our investors. But then we also have investors that are investing with their heart. As I mentioned, is this company impact driven? Is it going to make a difference? Is it helping people? Is it saving the planet? For example, on the platform currently, 55% more investment is going into sustainability and impact-led campaigns currently on the platform. It just goes to show that people are investing to make a return, yes, but also investing in businesses that they believe in that can make a difference. And then you've also got those sort of dopamine hits on the platform, businesses that are in new sectors, new exciting industries, emerging markets, which can really attract investment from a wider base of retail investors. There are, I guess, 3 pillars to success, and what we look for as a platform when we're looking to engage startups that want to raise with us. The vast majority of what we do in the rounds that we complete on the platform are co-investments. So businesses are typically raising money privately from either angels or lead investors, institutions, and they're coming to us to raise a top-up campaign, and that is to extend the runway in this market, to raise as much as they can, particularly hopefully before the market stabilized shortly. So when we look at the 3 pillars of crowdfunding, typically lead investment is important. We can help secure that also through our anchor team, but having a lead is really important. It sets the price, it sets the terms. It means that you go live on the platform with huge amounts of momentum. The second channel the investment's coming from, as I mentioned earlier, is the community around the company. If you're a B2C business and you can engage your users, your customers, and bring them on board as shareholders, they're going to buy more, spend more, engage more. You're going to increase their LTV, and that's going to help you as a business grow and scale a lot quicker. So a big part of this is engaging your own community. That could be your wider networks, but also your customer base and user base. And then, of course, as I mentioned, the third channel is our investors, and they're investing in reasons I mentioned earlier, in high growth startups that can potentially grow and scale and potentially exit. You can tap up all 3 of those channels, you're going to guarantee success on the platform. And currently, our success rate on Seedrs is 100% for any venture-backed deal raising over €1 million. So any deal that we're working with that is backed by a VC that's raising over €1 million, we have a 100% success rate. So who have we worked with before? And I guess, what are we looking for when we're looking to breaking into the Nordics? We actually have been operating in Europe for a number of years now. For about 4 years, there's been a recent change in crowdfunding regulation, which means that it is a very exciting time for us as a platform to break into new markets. As I mentioned, we're now in Copenhagen, Stockholm, we're operating in Finland as well. And we've worked with some pretty big names across those markets. In Sweden, recently funded Tilly, which is the early seed stage femtech. In Denmark, we work with the likes of Matebike, Luggage Hero, all both VC backed, and also Wave Piston, which is a sustainability wave-powered energy business. All of these companies have raised from hundreds, sometimes thousands of investors on the platform. They've become part of our portfolio, and the power of this exercise is that you can raise money in your first round from 500 to 1,000 investors. That is an audience you can continue to tap into for multiple fundraising rounds. So the companies that use us the best are raising rounds with us, raising capital from hundreds, sometimes thousands of investors. And each time they fundraise, they'll come back and do a top up. Each time they're marketing their brand further, they're engaging their customers further and acquiring more customers through us. So when you look at Luggage Hero, Matebike, they've done multiple rounds with us. Typically, most campaigns are doing 3 or 4 rounds before they exit on the platform. The biggest case study for us is Revolut that we've worked with. This is part of their 250 million Series B. It was backed by Invest Invest Ventures. We had a 4 million allocation. They hit that in under 30 minutes through the platform. And I guess the main talking point here is in terms of customer acquisition is that you had to be a Revolut customer to invest in their campaign, which is a very clever marketing play that they did for their raise, which increased their customer base whilst raising with us from, I think, about 300,000 to close to 750,000 just by running the crowdfund. So give you a good example of why businesses are using us in terms of that marketing piece and customer acquisition. And fundraising this current climate, I guess what we're seeing, and to go back to Jonathan's point around the fundamentals, that's increasingly important even for platforms like Seedrs and Republic. We are seeing, and just generally, we saw some of those highlights earlier, there are businesses struggling to go out and find lead investment from institutions and VCs. That is a very harsh reality as it stands now. But in this market, we offer a different form of financing that is, fairly straightforward in relation to consumer-focused companies. We have seen a minor drop in deal flow on our platform compared to, I guess, the more institutional landscape. And actually, we've seen increasing amounts of retail investors still signing up and investing on the platform. The businesses that are doing the best are the ones, as I said, in those new markets that are appealing to a retail base, that have the core fundamentals, sensible valuations, and are going out to raise reasonable amounts of funding to extend their runway. We like to, as an ecosystem player, get involved as early as possible with businesses fundraising. We do work all the way from pre-seed all the way up to Series D plus, and below there are some resources around sort of pitch decks, helping businesses sort of structure their rounds around valuation. The valuation calculator down there as well. And from our side, I know there's a few of us on the call today, we'd love to speak to any founders over the course of today that is interested in raising capital this way. But any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Hugo. Very interesting presentation, Revolut case study as well, very exciting. And your focus on and the relevance of crowdfunding in the consumer-facing B2C community-based startups. I think that's a great fit for many of the founders here. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insights and your plans for the Nordics. We now move to, thank you, Hugo.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.